Hi, welcome to the Indie Film Group. I am your temporary host, Ricky Bird, and thank you very much for tuning in. We have a very special guest, which I will introduce very shortly. We're going to let a couple more viewers pop on, and please, if you're watching right now, please share the video. If you're watching us live on Facebook, thank you for tuning in right now. It looks like our viewers are going up as we speak. And also, if you're watching this later on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, the Indie Film Group, where we're hoping we can help build the community of independent filmmakers. So I have a very special guest we're going to talk to today, who is also a filmmaker, director, writer, producer, and I guess we could just bring him on right now. What do you think, Charlie? Is that okay? Let's just do it. All right, here we got Brian. Introduce yourself, Brian. Oh, this way, sorry.
Hello. Hi, I'm Brian Trenchard-Smith. I raise a glass to all of you out there watching and listening. Thank you very much for attending. I was suddenly realized at the age of 13 that I wanted to make films because I'd just seen Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, and I thought, wow, people get paid to make these things. Okay, that's what I'll do.
Right.
Easy, isn't it? But as it turned out, I was very fortunate. I somehow always lucked out and was in the right place at the right time, and various people, got me, I guess, along the way, and thought they would give me opportunities. And goodness, after I've been directing basically for 53 years.
Wow.
Though it's a little slow right now, combination of COVID and ageism, but that will happen to all you young Turks who are just getting into the trenches right now, and good luck to you, and go for it. And when you get to be my age, you will be considered past your use-by date, even though directors actually get better with age. Judgment doesn't fail unless you have dementia or you're the current outgoing president, and but generally people over 70 still compos mentis and have been doing a particular thing for 50 plus years. There's a sort of a residue of experience that is actually useful, but that's not the way Hollywood sees. It's fine because it's a competitive business, and you have to put up with the competition and make your mark somehow. So I wish all of you who aspire to making films the best of luck. Go for it, I say.
So let me ask you this: what was it like? You said you were 13 when you saw Vertigo. What was it like to start? Like your first film. Where you guys were obviously probably shooting on film. What was it like shooting your first feature film?
Well, it was a gradual process. First of all, I made 8mm films at school. I went to boarding school in England, 10-year sentence, no remission. But I was paroled at 18 for good behavior. They never found out about all the bad behavior. And that first film, that the school commissioned me to make a film about them in my final year. And I duly did that and put it together with a synchronized tape recorder soundtrack with the score from El Cid and other things that were totally inappropriate, but made for a lively screening. And that got me a job with my then girlfriend's father, editing 16mm film, because it's not hard to go up a gauge on an industrial film. It was just silent, but it didn't require sound, and that was my first experience. And I managed to parlay that into an assistant editing job, taking censor cuts out of British films or imported continental films, get rid of, take the tit shot out, things like that. And That's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. But I
And
thought
you're taking all the
yeah,
fun out of the movies, is what you were saying, basically, just taking all the fun out
it's
of
something
everything.
like that. Yes. But I thought that, I wanted to. In England, there was a closed shop trade union that restricted entry into the film business. And if you weren't a member of the union, you basically couldn't get a job. You couldn't get a job unless you were a member of the union. It was one of those sort of catch-22s, which is
Right.
not the same in England anymore. But I thought, oh, okay, I'll go to the land of my father, Australia. I'm half British, half Australian, half Irish. Yeah, you can do that if you're Irish, my lad.
Right.
And but I've made two Leprechaun movies to prove it. But
Well, if you ever need someone with
I
a
went
red
to
beard for your
Australia.
next one, I'm ready for it. I got a red beard right here. I'm ready.
Yeah, no, you would be a
I'm a ginger.
fine, definitely. Yeah, no, I went to a country that didn't have a film industry, but it had three commercial television networks and a government network. And within 3 weeks, by saying I could edit anything, and had a reference that I'd written myself on a company's letterhead to prove it. Um, um, I got a job editing news film, which was a fascinating experience. And I write about it in my book, which is the first plug of the podcast, Adventures in the B Movie Trade.
Yes.
Yes,
And we have a picture of that, Charlie. You want to
580
throw that picture up
pages.
real quick?
Oh,
There it is.
you have a picture. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so, long story short, editing actually is the grammar and syntax of filmmaking, and it's very important to learn it. And it's a foundation skill. And so I told the television station management, I think your promos are dull. I think I could make more exciting ones. And I've always been interested in trailers. I would always
Right.
see the trailers, these double bills that would rotate round and round. And so I'd sometimes see the two movies and then wait till the trailers played for the next session, because I was interested in why they chose that bit. Particularly when I had subsequently seen the film. So they gave me a shot, and my promos, concentrating on sex and violence, were effective, attracting viewers. So a rival network, stole me, and I started making promos for them, and they were. I launched, their new season at the start of the ratings year, and they were happy. And then I announced I wanted to continue my education by going around the world to various filmmaking centers, and they gave me a reel of my stuff, my best promos on 16 millimeter, which I could then show in countries that were PAL, not NTSC, etc. And I showed it to a company in America, and they said, "Oh, we need a writer producer for our London studio making theatrical trailers for films made in England and Europe." So I ended up working for them for a few years, making 25 trailers for Hammer Horrors, and Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West is one of my trailers, which you can find on YouTube. And I think it's still quite a good trailer today, though all the trailers of that era were too long. Today they are shorter, but they give too much away. That's my gripe.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And
Yes.
so, so that led to me being, when the Australians wanted me back, and I said, well, I'll come back and make the network promos for all 4 stations, but you have to give me programs to make, because I want to make the move into actually making the stuff and not just promoting it. And so they duly brought me back, and I did that, and I started making clip shows and variety programs and shooting the film sequences
on, we lost audio for a second there.
Well, that's unfortunate. Hopefully we didn't lose him.
Brian, you still there? Well, Brian is frozen right now, but that's some pretty interesting stuff so far. Hopefully he'll click the link back on. We might have ran into a bandwidth issue with Brian, but never fear. His book is also available. You want to throw that on screen real quick, Charlie?
Yeah.
So basically, Adventures in the B-Movie Trade is a book written by Brian. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Hopefully didn't run into any bandwidth issues with Brian, but we'll see if we can get him back on here. Again, this is super cool to have Brian on, so make sure you go check out his book. And then also, if you have any comments or questions for Brian, and you're watching the live video, leave them in the comments below. If you're watching this later on YouTube, then you can leave a comment, like a pumped up comment. Oh, we do have some comments. We got Christine, what's up, Kristen? Oh, it's Kristen, what's up? And then we got Chris Cross. I don't know what you mean. You seem like quite the spry man. And then Jesse. Hey, thanks for sharing, Jesse. Jesse Nahara says hello. So thank you guys for watching right now, and thank you, Jesse, for sharing the video. So hopefully, have we got Brian back yet?
No, still nothing.
That's weird.
What I'll try doing is disconnecting and reconnecting to it.
Okay, so we're gonna try to get Brian back on the stream. Basically, though, if there's a movie or any B movie that you have seen Brian direct and you want to talk about, or Google him real quick and see how epic he is in the B movie trade alone, and how interesting it is how he kind of went up from doing news editing, documentary filmmaking into making B movies. So it looks like we still have 4 viewers, so that's cool. Hopefully we can get Brian back. If not, we can, I guess, just a question mark now?
No, still nothing. Well, he might be trying to reconnect right now.
Nope.
Actually, we hear him.
I can hear him. I can hear him.
So
Fingers crossed.
He might be coming back.
He's coming back. Dish, dish, dish. All right, so again, guys, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to be a guest on the show, just email Brianna at Hectic Films and tune in for the end of the show where we'll have all that information for you after we, have that info. So we are sending the pigeon right now with the note tied to its leg to Brian, so hopefully he can get it and we can get back into this pretty interesting interview with Brian. Oh, still a question mark. But we heard him for a second, so that means that we might be competing with the bandwidth that he is. Oh, what's up? Oh, it's Mike. Best in the biz, brother. Yes.
All right, I sent another link to Brian.
Okay, so we're going to send another link to Brian, and hopefully we can get Brian back on here because I have another crazy question to ask him, and I'll give you a little little background to the story. So I heard, John Blythe actually reached out to Brian to get him on the show, and so I had heard of Brian, and I was just kind of looking over a few things that he did, and then I came across a story, and one of the stories was he was doing a documentary about Bruce Lee. Well, he was doing a documentary about Bruce Lee, and then he confirmed Bruce Lee, got everything together, went to go shoot Bruce Lee, and that was when Bruce Lee died. So that's pretty crazy. And then we were talking right before the show, and he said he was actually stepping on the plane to do the documentary, to fly to him when he passed away. So that's insane. I mean, and then he ended up making a tribute, and I kind of wanted to get more of the details from him, but that was one of the interesting stories that I was like, wow, that's insane. I mean, could you imagine as a filmmaker getting everything, all your ducks in a row for someone as famous? I mean, that would be, that would be crazy, you know, especially at Bruce Lee's, you know, at that point in his career, you know, before he passed away. I mean, that would be insane to get an interview with him, you know, and the okay to do a documentary with him, and then for all that to just kind of get shit canned, you know, with you know, the unfortunate death of Bruce Lee, you know, that's just insane. So. I forget the name of that, but I'll put it in the comment section. He actually did do a documentary. I think it was like more of a tribute to Bruce Lee. And if we can get him back on here, we'll talk to him more about that. But also check out his book, The Adventures in B Movie Land. I'm pretty sure. Oh, in the B movie trade. I always want to say B movie land because you know, I'm pretty much a B filmmaker myself. And, you know, I, you know, do really indie movies with really indie budgets. So, any good news on him yet?
No, still connecting.
No? Okay. So, we still don't have Brian, but we've got some more comments. Oh, what's up, Philip? Thanks for watching. Philip, we got Chris comes back. My comment always sounds so disconnected. The point in the conversation when they had been written had passed. Sorry. Oh, no, it's cool, Chris. We love to hear, you know, the comments. We just don't have to look over to see those bad boys. But, you know, we appreciate you guys watching, and we appreciate all the people tuning in right now. If you have any questions, you know, feel free. We can put them in here. Mike says his favorite B movies. That's epic. So, you know, we'll hopefully get Brian back on the line. We'll see. Hopefully I really hope we're not competing with his wife's bandwidth. He said his wife is, you know, online teaching some kids, so there might have been a bandwidth problem before we started. But, again, make sure you check out Brian's book, The Adventures in the B Movie Trade. See, I got it right. And it looks like a pretty cool book. You know, I'm actually going to pick this up and check it out myself. Well, I was going to wait for the movie to come out, but, you know, because it's really hard for me to read. I know I wrote a book, but Cheap Movie Tricks was read by another person. So, you know, there's that. But anyway, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to try to get Brian back on the line. Again, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Yes, Chris, hopefully we can, you know, reschedule him. Yeah, he is definitely interesting. And, you know, I was pumped to have him on the show, and now it kind of sucks that we are competing with the internet and the algorithms of the internet, but hopefully John Blythe can reach out and see if we can get him. Is he back?
Let's try it one more time.
Oh, snap.
Hold on.
Okay, I think we got him back.
I'm going to have to I'm going to need a second.
Yes, sir.
So, hey, Brian, if you can hear us, you're not live yet, but just give us 1 second. I got to bring you back in.
Okay, so we got Brian. We're going to bring him back in. It just takes us a second because Charlie's got to do a few adjustments to bring Brian back in. Brian, we're not competing with your wife's Wi-Fi right now, right? Just a glitch? Oh, we are? Okay.
They can't hear him.
Monitor. I guess you can see me. So I've got, and she will let me know in no uncertain terms if I'm interfering with her. I'm trying to find, because suddenly the quality of photography has gone down somewhat. So
gotta set the lighting up.
I mean, that's the problem with the bed. I have to look at the monitor and not.
So while Brian gets his stuff set up, we'll just go ahead and plug the book again. Adventures in the B Movie Trade. Make sure to check that out. It's also available on his website, which we'll flash down there at the bottom. You know, so make sure to check that out when we get Brian back on here, because we got a couple more questions, and then we promise we won't take any more of the internet waves.
Well, that's okay. Hey, I hated chat, as you know. Now I have to look at notes, even though you're over there. I have to look at this this thing here. Technology hates me. So, how's that? Is that a bit of
good.
gothic light?
Yeah, it looks
Okay, I
it's
think
very moody, very moody. It's setting the tone.
moving right. Okay, I need more wine. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're cool.
Disasters live. A bit of few of those in my time, but there's, when you did live shows to air, what happened, and you didn't want it to go wrong.
Right.
And if you made a mistake in the news film that you cut, and then it was, it went to air, compete with that news film, and there are stories about, a couple of my splendid editorial mistakes in the book, which I'll flash again. Anyway, but I think if you look at the trailer on the website, you get a certain sense of the big deal going on in the book. We deal with a good deal about shooting action, and shooting action safely and shooting action not so safely. And safety is, it should be the paramount, but we were we were learning on the job. And nobody died. Unfortunately, one stuntman did have a pair of broken ankles, but that's the worst thing that ever happened on any of my 41 movies and 43 episodes of television. So there.
Wow.
Anyway, so questions.
Out of those 41, though, out of those 41 films, what's your favorite film that you've made?
Oh boy, in what genre is the question that occurs to me. I mean, what is my favorite war film? Is it my World War One Eye of the Needle on a Titanic facsimile, otherwise known as Britannic, a World War One spy drama on a ship that sank in 1916, Titanic's sister ship Britannic? Is it that one, or is it the Jim Belushi version of Sahara, a World War II desert war film, remake of the Humphrey Bogart original with Belushi in the bogey role, and I think he did extremely well? Or is it my Vietnam battle picture, Siege of Firebase Gloria? They all have their merits, but which is my favorite? There were such different experiences. The comfort of making a totally studio movie. Well, no, we did go to a pumping station for the engine room of the Britannic, but basically a very comfortable studio film to make at Bray Studios, the home of Hammer Horrors in England, or out in the winter desert north of Sydney to simulate the Libyan desert, and trying to do a 12-hour day in 10 hours of daylight. But it was a wonderful cast. Belushi was wonderful. A tremendous feeling of we're actually making a war. We're fighting a war while making a war movie. And then a similar experience in the Philippines with a largely Filipino crew and a few Australian key people, making a war movie in a war zone 2 hours out from Manila, where the New People's Army basically were kind of in charge until such time as the Filipino army chose to move in. And we arranged a deal between the New People's Army and the Filipino helicopter brigade that we were using, that we would always notify the NPA when the army were coming. and that was fine, because really both sides didn't want to fight each other unless they were ordered to. So that was an interesting experience, because a lot of our extras were NPA, and they were good fighting men, and they played the Viet Cong very well. So so long answer to a short question, but it's three war movies. They're all favorites of mine. I would but probably, people say, what is your best film? Well, it's yes, how long is a piece of string? But I think The Man from Hong Kong is my best martial arts movie. Dead End Drive-In is probably my best, sci-fi political allegory. And it's certainly it's the movie Quentin Tarantino has told me he thinks is my best, but sometimes he thinks BMX Bandits is my best, and then good for him. And he likes Firebase too. But yeah, if you want to put one movie on my tombstone, one that I think will live, because of its political message, Dead End Drive-In would be that. So I'm very proud and happy to have made a film that is as prescient as it appears to be today.
Yeah.
And of course, aspects of Turkey Shoot are pretty prescient if you want to see what it would be like to have 4 more years of authoritarian rule, where dissidents are not appreciated.
Right.
Anyway, so that's
Well, I want to ask you because so that kind of leads into my next question. So John had mentioned that you were dubbed one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite directors, and then he said that
favorite.
He said you were one of his favorites. So tell me about that.
I have to qualify that and say favorite obscure director. That's what he said.
Okay.
Obscure is better than dead. I'll settle for that.
Yeah.
But Quentin's been a big fan, and I love Quentin, and I love his movies, and we completely, I get his stuff, and he got my stuff, and when he was working in a video store, he would see all these VHSs coming in from Australia, coming in from all over the world, and he saw them all, so he picked up on certain titles, and then by coincidence we met at a premiere of it was Norma Jean and Marilyn, with Mira Sorvino, and he was dating Mira at that time, and we met at that premiere, and I said, "You don't know me?" And he said, "Oh yes, I do. You made Turkey Shoot." And what about that scene where they beat that girl, the guard from hell beat that girl to death on the parade ground, and freedom is obedience, obedience is work, work is life. Whoa, what are you thinking, man? And he really liked the film, and so I was flattered by that, and we've sort of have a nodding acquaintance ever since. And he's invited me to his house a few times, and I once did see a cut of Inglorious Bastards along with 4 other directors. He got us there to get our opinion on whether he should do what Harvey Weinstein said, is cut that scene, you don't need it. And he said, well, do I need that scene? And we all said, absolutely, you need that scene, keep it. And so he did. And then Harvey went to jail. So, there is some justice. Well, as I'm not given to short answers, I'll just, if you're really curious, go to trailersfromhell.com.
Trailers from
I have made 90 plus cinema history lectures for Joe Dante and Elizabeth Stanley, who run the site. And one of them is on Inglorious Bastards. and I tell you exactly what scene it was and why it was, I think, vital to keep it, because in principle it provided a piece of connective tissue which the audience might miss. You know, a man you saw speaking English, with a little moustache in a British uniform. If you don't have the intervening scene, the connective tissue, um, you then suddenly cut to the the bar under, in the cellar scene, where that character no longer has a moustache. He's speaking German entirely, and he's in a German uniform, and you don't get the connection that, oh yeah, that's that actor. And that's that character who was there with Winston Churchill, when the brief for the mission takes place. So editorially, you want to avoid speed bumps, and without that scene, I felt there was a speed bump. There you have it. But I appreciate Quentin's appreciation, and I haven't seen him for about 18 months. I mean, he's overseas at the moment. Last time we saw one another was at a Masters of Horror dinner in LA that happens every year. I'm sure I will see him again when he is next in LA, but I'm in Oregon now, and so I always fly down for the Masters of Horror dinners. So we'll see. But I love his films, and I wish he would make more of them. But I'm happy. I'm happy he is now a father, which is good for any filmmaker to become a father.
Yeah, definitely. So,
are you a father?
Yes, I am a father. I've got 2 kids. I got a 20-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good for you. And I hope they're good.
Early. Yeah,
I hope
good. I beat them a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, they're good.
So I have 2 sons who are great brothers to each other. So there you go. Anyway, so what else can I tell you?
Well, I would like to ask you, and I brought this up a little bit when because we had a few viewers still with us whenever we lost you, but I want to know, because I just think this is super cool. Can you tell me the story about the documentary that you were going to make on Bruce Lee, and then of course I did spoiler alert. I said that he'd passed away when you're getting on the plane, but I still think that's crazy, that you had everything to go, like everything ready, and then all of a sudden, your main, the main piece of the pie, he passes away, and just how you kind of still made something out of that is, it's super impressive,
Well,
I mean, in my, from looking at it from another filmmaker, I'm just like, wow, you kind of had, because you basically turned it into a tribute, right?
Yeah, I turned it into a tribute. I mean, the plan was that I would make this documentary about him when it suited his production company for me to do that at that time, because it was before Enter the Dragon came out, and before his Chinese movies were about to be released in Australia in dubbed versions. And I had proposed to my distributor, or to the distributor of the Chinese movies, why don't I make this documentary and get the cooperation of Raymond Chow and Golden Harvest, and then we can put that on, and it will be kind of a clip show with lots of interview material and some stuff we'll actually shoot, they just said, okay, go ahead. And so I had made the arrangements, got on a plane, not realizing that he had just probably died while I was sort of in immigration. And the plane touched down at Jakarta airport, and I saw a big sort of newspaper poster saying Bruce Lee dies. Oh, that's a tragedy. What a great loss, incidentally, for worldwide cinema. Think how he would have grown as a filmmaker over the years. And he wanted to put Asian philosophy and Asian values into standard genre fare. And you can certainly see some of that in his early work, but it was certainly what he planned when he was shooting The Game of Death. But he suspended The Game of Death in order to shoot Enter the Dragon. And while he, then I flew in that post-production period for Enter the Dragon to make this documentary. And so I arrived and I contacted Golden Harvest, and naturally they were pretty shattered. But within a couple of days, they got back to me, and I said, "Look, we'll make a tribute to him. How about that?" And they said, "Okay." So I duly went and found people to talk about him, and eventually Raymond Chow also talked about him, and various people who worked with him. I got clips from his films, and I got clips from other Golden Harvest films to sort of set the scene. And I shot a bunch of stuff with a cameraman who was on the next plane behind me, to show what Hong Kong was like to live in, and the cultural environment that produced Bruce Lee. I think it's a matter of thinking on your feet. As a filmmaker, you have to do that. I mean, you might have a script which you've then broken down into a series of shots, and you know what you're going to shoot that day. But it did require bright sunlight. Now, there's a tropical storm. So what do? Well, you work with the tropical storm.
Right.
So that's my attitude to every shoot of the day. Anyway, we made a film a documentary that played on television in Australia, and has been seen elsewhere, and parts of it have been incorporated into a follow-up film that I did called Kung Fu Killers, which I think you could stream from Umbrella Entertainment in Australia. And I went back taking my stuntman buddy, whose career I managed at the time, Grant Page, to find out who was Bruce Lee's successor, and who would take his place. And so did more interviews with lots of people and got lots of opinions. Incidentally, one of the opinions was, well, there is this guy, Jackie Chan, but his first film didn't do any business, and I don't think he has a future.
Right.
So, okay, well, the rest is history. So anyway, that was how I dealt. Yeah, but it took a while. I mean, the big brawl did not work. It took Rumble in the Bronx for it to work. He had to continue making ever more successful Chinese films, and start building his cult following on that, through their VHS releases in America, until finally, when he had the right kind of vehicle, which he shot in Vancouver. And an assistant director I worked with had worked on it and said he was marvelous. And of course, he had limitless money. So if he decided, I like the way I was going to do this scene, so let's just sort of replan it for 4 hours, and the crew sits around, and okay, now we're going to start again. And it was wonderful, and no doubt it was a much better scene. But Rumble in the Bronx, certainly, it gave that American fan base for him exactly what they wanted to see him do, but in more of an American setting, because, American audiences, with all due respect to you, are very parochial, and you're a little resistant to foreign stuff. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, I get the same thing with. I have a film called Naked Zombie Girl, and I had a bunch of mixed reviews.
Now there's a title.
Yes, and it's we won a decent amount of awards, and it went around, but we get the culture shock and different things. Like even Amazon wouldn't accept it because of the title. So there's always some hangups, but it gets a lot of play in other countries right now, and then it's on a couple streaming services. So it makes because people, that again, the title that's what I love about, you know, a lot of B movies is just the cool titles. And, you know, Naked Zombie Girl, I feel, you know, was our, you know, cool title, you know, that
Yeah.
helped us
Well,
get through that. But
you could always sort of put a line through the word naked and have
yeah.
written in not naked zombie
Right.
girl. I mean, it's like a Quentin's film, Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah.
He was that you can't at that time. Certain newspapers would not print the word bastard.
Right.
Yeah. So he misspelled it deliberately. So then it could be printed by certain conservative newspapers, or the ad for it could be printed by certain
Right.
conservative newspapers. But no, it's you know, the things that you know newspapers would or would not print is was used to be a factor. It isn't much anymore.
Right.
But I remember Roger Corman telling me of his the ad line he desperately wanted for for Shogun Assassin, which was a combination of the best sequences from Wolf and Cub, or made from three or four of those, all combined into one movie, dubbed in a way that made the storyline coherent. And the ad line he wanted that the newspapers would not print was Shogun Assassin, he'll kick your ass in. And they wouldn't print that line.
Good old Roger Corman. Have you met Roger Corman?
Yeah.
How is
Oh,
Roger
yes,
Corman?
yes. He's a wonderful guy, very urbane, sophisticated, softly spoken, um, firm about what he wants and what he likes, but is pretty sort of embracing of all tastes, and he was a pioneer of making films on a budget best described as the smell of an oily rag. And the things he was able to do were things that I wanted to emulate. I mean, I made my first film for $16,000, and now it only ran 50 minutes, but it was the right length for to sell as a TV special. But it could also be sold as a documentary, and it won Best Documentary Award at the Sydney Film Festival when I made it.
Oh, yeah.
But it, yeah, well, it functioned as a good calling card for me, which is one piece of advice I would give to young people starting out: make a film that shows your strengths, your particular strengths. Are they visual strengths? Are they performance strengths? Comedy strengths? Um, make your first film something that really showcases your strengths. One of my strengths is action photography. I know how to shoot people falling over, people getting shot, things blowing up. I love to blow shit up. It's great fun. Now we put a great sort of digital cloud on it, but you know, I'm, I like the real thing. But no, well, it's, so you know, I I knew my calling card had to be action, but I couldn't write a script and have actors, but I could hire a stunt group uh, and who would do all the stunts. And we did various kinds of stunt sequences and then showed how they were done. And it was it was quite successful, and it gave me a calling card that it was proof of concept.
Right.
And that's what all new filmmakers have to do, and as you obviously have done. And hey, Naked Zombie Girl, wow, that's
Yeah.
no. I mean, you went for something. You went for something that was absolute no-brainer commercially.
Right.
There's a huge audience for a title like. Uh, so it's a pity Amazon is are not streaming it.
Yeah. And
But
it's only a
have you
short
done well
film.
with a DVD or?
Well, we just did
Oh,
it
I
as a
see. It's not
short
feature
film,
length.
so it's only a short film. We had a bunch of we had a it's we had a bunch of plans to make a feature later on, but then those kind of fell short. And then we had a couple people come in and say they were, willing to make it into feature film, but it was just, they wanted to put a bunch of weird stuff in it where I was like, I don't know, we'll just wait it out. Because I went on and made a couple other short films and a few features. I have another one, Machine Gun Baby. And then we started getting, pissing off even more people with the Machine Gun Baby. So that was pretty fun. But it's basically about a baby who escapes his own abortion and comes back to kill his mom. And he talks, and he gets put in they have like a chemical thing. It's kind of like Chud. Or not? Yeah, I think it's Chud. But
it's alive.
Yeah, like
it's
they
alive.
throw the fetus in there.
Yeah.
So he comes back and he's talking and he's like a little puppet and he's shooting the whole abortion clinic up. It's pretty funny. But again, we're just trying to push that bar because with us, we're really broke filmmakers. So what we try to do is make something a little controversial. You know what I mean? Because I don't really have a shoe in the game with any of that stuff, so it's easy for me to poke it a little bit as a director and a writer. So I like,
but have you
fun stuff.
Have you entered any of these films to horror film festivals in their short categories?
Yeah, so we won about 30 awards for Naked Zombie Girl, and then we got in some pretty cool stuff. We were in Screamfest, so that was really cool. And then for Machine Gun Baby, we entered it into a few. Some people, because of the the title or the concept after watching it, they were a little bit against playing it, but some were, and then it ended up winning, I think, 6 or 7 awards for that one. And that's probably my best seller. We have that on Amazon, Machine Gun Baby, and that one's still, like if I have those DVDs and I bring them to a convention, they sell pretty quick. Because it's just funny, and then when you tell them what the movie's about. But it's the same with Naked Zombie Girl, because I'm a firm believer in the poster and the title usually are the cleavage of the movie. So you gotta make sure they're that's what entices people to watch it. So we don't have George Clooney in our movie, or Tom Hanks or whoever. So just making the title a little bit stand out, and then trying to have do something that's a little bit different. But the show's not about me, Brian. The show's about you, and I want to ask you another question. Do you edit your movies now, or are you editing when you?
Well, once I stopped actually physically editing my own stuff, it's prudent to bring in another mind as an editor. So from early days of I brought in an editor, and I've worked with a number of editors a number of different times, and ultimately I govern the cut. What I want is an assembly, an editor's cut of the film that reflects the editor's evaluation of the footage.
Right.
And maybe out of that, I will see something that I hadn't seen before. I'll also see things that I want completely the other way around, and maybe a different take of performance or whatever. But I think it's important to have someone to give you an objective viewpoint, and otherwise, if you just keep thinking, my way or the highway, well, you'll soon run into people, producers, who will say, no, sorry, I don't see it that way. And you have to find a way to, ultimately, you're not always going to be an auteur. You're going to have to be a member of the team to make a living in this business, which is, I'm sure, what you would love to do, and what everyone maybe who's still listening. So you have to be true to your creative instincts, but also know how to collaborate and make some compromises if necessary. I mean, if you retitled your film Zombie Girl Without Clothes, I don't know whether that would have made a difference to its acceptability by Amazon. But the word naked, oh my God, flashing lights. I tend to see the absurdity in so many situations in life, and that was one. filmmaking is ultimately a collaborative exercise. So
Definitely.
if you can surround yourself with really good collaborators, if you have a really good lighting cameraman, plug into his creativity and then tweak it as you need it your way, and so on. But that's my approach. But as far as script development is concerned, I tend to say, okay, I'm going to take this on, but I have to make it my own. I'm not going to change it radically, but I think you should make that character a woman and not a man, and that will make it a much more interesting film. Or you should do this, or you should lose that subplot, or something like that. So generally, when I've signed on to one of these, basic cable movies that I've made a few of, it's on the basis of, okay, I think this can work, but it just needs a bit of shaping, and the producers have generally let me do that, and that's been good. And then I know what they want, so I want to give them what they want, and have a certain amount of it, what I want, and or my sensibility plugged into what they want.
Definitely. No, and and it's about finding that happy medium, where they're happy and you're happy, kind of deal, for sure. So let me ask you this then. What do you think, with the exception of your book, obviously, what do you think, what books would you recommend, people that are wanting to try to get into the indie filmmaking world that they read? Like what are, maybe a couple books or whatever that you'd recommend?
I don't know what books there are about getting into the indie film world. You see, there were books to a degree about getting into Hollywood. Look, there are numerous how to write a screenplay books, numerous books on how to produce, how to direct. I've never read any of them.
You're like me, we just do it by living it. I'm the same way. I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
I just have to hit it. Yeah.
No, I think I should qualify that by saying, read a couple of good screenplay books. Read, William Goldman's Adventures in the Screen Trade, whose title I've riffed on with, Adventures in the B-movie trade, for those that get my sense of irony. I think Sid Field wrote a good book about writing screenplays, and I think William Goldman's follow-up to Adventures in the Screen Trade, Which Lie Did I Tell? That gives you quite a few object lessons, and why does this scene not work? But if you did this, this, and this with it, then it might work. But see, I've extolled the virtues of of editing, and editing is actually part of the writing process. You should start editing the words, and then when you've shot the words, you need to edit what you did, and maybe lose some things, or go and shoot some more. The script is the architect's blueprint, and then you may, that's the structure of the building, and if it's not plumb, if it's not true, then in effect the building will fall over in the audience's mind as they watch it, because that doesn't work. I don't believe a cop would have done that in that situation, but as a convenient plot device, you've made him do that so it can trigger such and such. Well, that's when credibility drops, because you've made a bad join between the first floor and the second floor, or something like that, just to follow my architectural metaphor ad absurdum. editing and the structure of the script are very much aligned.
Right. No, I think you're right. I mean, you're 100%. I mean, I see it all the time when I'm watching a film, especially going to a film festival and watching a lot of indie films. You know, because I like to watch. You know, I just love movies, so you know, getting to watch and you know, kind of participate in those kind of things are super interesting to me. So, but I know what you mean. Like even in some of my films where I've, you know, not taken the proper, you know, vetting, you know, kind of, I guess, technique, or having other people read my script, or you know, kind of, you know, getting those things, and then we go to film, and then I'm watching it, and I'm like, wow, and then we go and reshoot it, and you just can't really get, you know, what you were kind of going for without making, you know, like a full operation on the whole deal. And it's just good to, you know, get that shit out of the way before you know, start shooting. But yeah, believability, or even, that's a great metaphor as an architect, you know, like the plans, because yeah, it's definitely a super crucial part of the process. But that leads into my other question for you, which is, what do you think is the most important part of the process as a filmmaker? You know, any part of the process from start to finish with the film.
Do you mean creatively, or do you mean professionally?
Ooh, that's pretty good. Let's try creative first, and then we'll do professionally.
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to respond to the material, even if you're a hired hand. You have to say, "Oh yeah, I like this. This can work." And you know, then ideally, you surround yourself with the most talented people. If you happen, yeah, well, it's obviously, if it's a job for hire, you work with the writer and the producers to make the adjustments you feel are necessary. And then you know, you have to decide what is the look of the film. What is appropriate for this subject matter, for this genre, for the commercial thrust of the film? What would be a good look? And locations are very important to me. Sets and locations. I have to try and get the greatest amount of production value that I can for the budget that I have. And sometimes if you don't have very much money, you can still find all sorts of high production value backgrounds against which to set, you know, simple scenes. And one of the tricks I've had sometimes is to, you know, go and, you know, set a scene inside a public event, so that there's always a crowd in the background, and if you're clever, you know, the crowd doesn't look at the camera, but it's better than shooting the very same scene on you know, a piece of empty road. So you know, go to the state fair and see if there's a justification that this conversation or this activity could take place at the state fair. Now, obviously, you're doing a car chase and a battle scene. The state fair is probably not the best place to try and keep as a location. But now with, you know, with digital gunfire, you'd be surprised what you can do in a public place. Because and anyway, so it's finding the look of the film. That's an important part of the creative process, and then, you know, knowing how to manage the team. I mean, as a director, you're the brigade commander. You're going to lead those troops every day to take that hill, which is to shoot the scheduled scenes within the allotted amount of time, and that's your mission. And every day you charge up that hill, and you stumble a few times, but somehow you make it to the top, and you get the day's work done. And then, yeah, the next day is another day. So that's, you know, you have to be brigade commander, you have to be group therapist, to,
Yeah, totally.
members of the cast or crew who are unhappy, and you have to make them happy, because happy people do better work. So um,
Yeah.
strangely, I mean, the beatings will stop when morale improves.
Right.
That's you know. So I mean, it actually keys into my biggest piece of advice for the career aspect
Right.
of the job, which is 2 words: make friends. I mean, you've got to make friends in the professional process anyway. Just,
Right.
make friends, help people. Maybe they will help you in return, and maybe they won't. But it's still a good practice to, within reason, help other people, and just find ways in which you can collaborate. So I think uh, I've been lucky that um, people don't hate working with me.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice because, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, you have to be, I get along with people to make sure they're, I mean, you can't, I've never been on a set that there was some kind of conflict and things were turning out really well, because I do the same thing. Like I go and, I'll help on other people's sets or, try to go grip on other things just to kind of learn and see what other people are doing on their sets, and then, just their flow and how it does, how they do things and stuff. And, it's actually, gets, I learn a lot. And then my wife, she's an AD, so she gets to work on a lot more cooler stuff than me. And then she'll call me in to, be a PA or a grip, and I just sit there, just like a sponge, just, in awe the whole time, while these other people are just, looking at their phones. I'm like, but
Good. Well,
I
yeah,
agree
drink it
100%.
in,
Yeah,
because knowledge is power, and
definitely.
and yeah, it'll also make you a better writer. Uh, and for a subsequent short film, find a serious short.
Right.
To find a serious subject that could be done with a very small cast in a nice location that possibly has something to say, and it can still be a horror film short. I mean, I've seen some
Right.
really clever horror film shorts at the Portland Horror Film Festival, where I was a judge there once, and so. But not necessarily horror. You got to be careful not to get typed, not to get pegged.
Yeah.
Oh, he can only do horror. So
Yeah.
you've got to do something that is performance based and is well written, and hopefully clever, or has a searing social issue that you're demonstrating. Um, I just saw a French Canadian film that I won't mention the title because I haven't made, because I'm a juror on that particular film festival. But it's it's in French as it is spoken by Canadians, which I believe is not the way the French like it
Yeah, I
spoken.
don't think,
But
yeah.
the French are like that.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful film, and it has a really, in a low key way, has a devastating impact uh, about how a 13-year-old girl has her life ruined. Uh, and you don't see anything that is unpleasant. Unpleasant things have happened, but
Right.
it's the way the parental responses, the neighbor, the kids at the school, the way that is all captured is a great piece of writing, be it in English or French or any language. It's a universal subject of
Right.
how abuse can basically ruin a girl's life,
Right.
and that girl is going to a pretty grim future, even though everyone around her is pretending nothing is really wrong. And So I was very impressed by that, because it would have been a hard film to get made by a studio. But you know, the French Canadians, you know,
Right.
they're a little bolder, and
Right.
they're prepared to make, they're prepared to go to make, difficult subjects. Anyway, so I would, if I would counsel you to write something from the heart, that is not necessarily about naked zombie girls.
Well, I do have one. I
Nice.
have one called the well-respect, or it's called A Well-Respected Man, or the well. No, I think I did A Well-Respected Man, just like the Kinks song "Well-Respected Man." It's about a guy who gets the promotion of a lifetime. Yeah, A Well-Respected Man. It's about a guy who gets the promotion of a lifetime the same day the world is supposed to end, and he tries to, like kind of shoo it off like it's not really going to happen, because he's worked his whole life, and he's like, kind of they're a conservative couple, and he gets up, and it's kind of just about that day, and it's I think about 15 minutes long. We've won a few awards. It's been on the circuit, but it's it's definitely more of like a like a heartfelt piece about family, and a lot of the things that we do are all meaningless. And so, like a promotion, here's a guy that could be spending the last time on earth with his wife, yet he's going to work and pretending this whole, because that's like, and I feel like coronavirus has kind of set that tone as well, where it's, people are starting to see, how some of the things we do are just kind of dumb, and different things that we have in place or whatever, and the things that we, getting that job promotion or getting these other things that we hold so high are really all meaningless in the, in Mother Nature. And then I have another family film, because I always put boobs and stuff in my films, so I did another short film called The Video Store, and it's like a 90s family movie with aliens, and it's we also did an escape room with the film to kind of help make money, with the film, because short films are kind of hard to make a lot of money off of, with return on investment and all that. So, but it's cool. It's got puppets and stuff in it. There's actually a trailer for The Video Store for everyone who's watching. The Video Store trailer will be playing at the end of this, so if you want to see the Video Store trailer, just hang out and you'll see the trailer at the end. But it's like a 90s, because I like 90s and I like The Video Store, and it's very close to my heart. So I hit up these guys with an escape room and basically made an escape room and then filmed in the escape room and made it like a little blockbuster or whatever. It's pretty cool. It's on Facebook if you want to check it out. But yeah. But I agree, man. I'm trying to get better at trying to put something like heartfelt, but being I think you're right about the clever part, because every time I watch a film and then I see the ones that win and the ones that stick out to me, it's always ones that have a good clever like a good clever twist in that short amount of time that can be entertaining and then still kind of flip it on you.
That's it. And the key to good script writing, of course, is reading. That's the other thing I would emphasize to any young filmmaker. Don't just watch stuff, read stuff, because then let the imagination paint the pictures for you, but let the content and the meaning of the writer's story pervade your thinking. And because reading leads to writing. Reading inspires writing. So the more you read, from the classics to the latest bestseller, that could, if you are a dedicated filmmaker, spend an hour of your 12 hours a day reading stuff. And I don't mean, the National Enquirer.
Is that still around, the National Enquirer?
I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't even make good toilet paper. Anyways, that would be my advice. Read and try to write stuff with freshness. Now, I haven't always done stuff with freshness. But I've tried to give old stuff a new wrinkle. But freshness is what everyone is looking for, because there's a lot
Definitely.
of competition for the eyeballs.
Yes.
So you got to have something that is going to be worth someone giving their time. I don't know whether anyone is giving time to a live streaming interview of this great length.
No, we still got
They
viewers.
probably all switched when there was a break in the transmission. But I think probably the time has come to let people go back to their normal lives. And I thank you. But
Yeah, no
if you got
problem.
nothing to do, well, better
That's where you need
still,
to spend your time reading, right here. This way. Oh, there we go.
yeah, I mean, it is both literal and it has 200 pages of pictures in it, 580 pages. But if you have a friend, if you're an older person with a young, you know, throughout the text. And I think you'll find that. So, the trailer is online and it's on the website. And I thank you very much for the interest. And I wish all indie filmmakers as much luck as I have had in my career. And
Thanks,
it's not
Brian.
over yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So where can everyone see your movies? Do you sell them on your website as well? Do you have like Blu-rays, DVDs, or are they all streaming?
Well, I mean, the distributors have rights, but if you go to Umbrella Entertainment online, an Australian distributor, they handle my early stuff.
Okay.
So you can find Kung Fu Killers, The Stuntmen, The Man from Hong Kong, Stunt Rock, Death Cheaters, Danger Freaks. You can, I think,
Great
stream all of
titles.
those.
Yeah.
Well, like Naked Zombie Girl.
Yeah.
Hey, well, hey, you do the follow up, Naked Zombie Gun Girl. Then you've got
Oh, there we
two
go.
buzzwords:
Yeah.
Naked
Nice.
Zombie Gun.
Yep.
Suddenly,
Yep.
everyone's receptors are. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's an old trailer maker. You see,
Yeah.
I think this way, and have made some movies based on that thinking. And so thank you very much for your time and the
Yeah, definitely.
enormous patience of your.
No,
And
no
I
problem.
wish
I'm glad to
you
have
and
you
all
on.
indie. Okay, thank you, and read the book and please let me know what you think.
Yes, I will actually. I'm gonna get your book. So, do you sign the books, or do they just go through a? How does
Well,
that work?
it, well, you have to get it from Amazon.
You have to get
It's
it from
20
Amazon.
bucks. Yeah, get it from Amazon. 20 bucks for and 9.99 for the Kindle. For those that don't have any
Okay.
money but can somehow scrape 9.99 together, it plays very well on your computer,
Sweet.
and all the pictures are in color, whereas the book, the pictures are
Oh
in
yeah.
black and white.
Yeah, they do that.
What
Yeah.
excitement! What I'm trying to work out.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Oh yeah,
Oh, nice,
that's
nice. I
Humphrey Bogart
like it.
standing in front of the tank in his version of Sahara,
That's cool.
and anyway, my version.
That's
So,
cool.
so it's a bit of cinema history, bit of this, bit of that.
Sweet.
Okay, well,
Well,
thank you
thanks, Brian.
very much.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's good. It's good. I could talk to you for hours. This has been great. Thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Tell your wife. Thanks for letting us borrow some of the web with letting you hang out on and talk to us for a little bit longer. Because yeah, Chris Cross just had one question. Oh wait, he said something that you touched on also alluded in your pinged me. You said along the way you found people who you can describe the process. Oh, well, you basically said that. So thank you, Chris, for watching. We appreciate it. You already covered that in one of your answers. So that's it. Thanks again, Brian, for coming on the show. I really enjoyed having you, and I've got a full day now of reading and online book buying, and then some. I got to see the Death. I've never seen the Death. What is it? Death Drive-In or?
Dead End Drive.
Dead End
Yeah,
Driving.
Dead End
Okay.
Driving. It's on a number of streaming platforms. Try and see it in 4K if you can. Arrow do a really good Blu-ray of it.
Okay, yeah, I'll get it
and-
on Blu-ray. It sounds something right up my alley. I was like,
Oh,
as
yeah.
soon as you said that, I was like, oh man, I got to see that one. So cool.
Get a bunch of people round, and you'll have fun. It's very 80s, but it's
Yes.
it has it's got. Of course, you weren't alive in the 80s, but
Right. I was alive in the
Yeah.
80s. I was born in 83, but yeah, I didn't really remember much of them. I don't remember much of the last couple of weeks, but
it has a very 80s ambiance to it.
right.
Anyway, thank you.
Sweet.
And good night.
All right. Later, Brian. So everybody, again, thank you for tuning into the Indie Film Group show. Again, if you can share this video and give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, and don't forget to check out Brian's book. We'll put a link in the description, also in the comment section below, so you can get the book. And again, thank you for tuning in to the Indie Film Group. And and for all the people that hung out, we appreciate it. And we'll see you next week on Thursday. Thanks again. Goodbye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video and like the page, and we'll see you next week. If you want to be a guest on our show, just email me at brianna@hecticfilms.com.
Oh yeah, running free. I've been running since I can remember, working hard till the morning light. Never look back, never surrender, even if you gotta put up a fight. I was looking for that certain feeling, the one you took and ran out the door. I never found out the reason you left me at the video store. Oh yeah, running free. Oh yeah, at the video store. Running free at the video store. At the video store. At the video store.
Love me. Cut. Man, this movie sucks. I'm out of here. What am I gonna do? I'm out of money.
Are you trying to make a movie, but you're running out of locations, crew, or even money? Buy my book, Cheap Movie Tricks, today and invest in your filmmaking career.
Love me. Cut. Man, this movie sucks. I'm out of here. What am I gonna do? I'm out of money.
Are you trying to make a movie, but you're running out of locations, crew, or even money? Buy my book, Cheap Movie Tricks, today and invest in your filmmaking career.